Namaste. I welcome you all to the last video on Autobiography of a Yogi, and I thank you all for being with me together in this blissful journey. And friends, today, like all the other videos, we will learn too that how keeping faith and trust in the divine is quintessential for living. So let's start with today's learnings. So Yogananda, he has returned to the West, and the year was late 1936 and it was Christmas time. And we know that during Christmas gifts are presented to loved ones, and Yogananda, he had brought presents from all of the lands he had visited during his travel to India. We know that in those days long distance travel was possible only through ships. And so Yogananda, he had got this opportunity to travel to various lands like Palestine, Egypt, Belgium, France, Italy, Germany. And Yogananda, he handpicked gifts with love for all of his dear ones in America. And he presented a sari of golden Banarasi silk to Sister Gyanamata, who was in charge of Mount Washington Center during Yogananda's absence. And for his another beloved disciple, Mr. Dickinson Yogananda, he bought a silver cup. And friends, the moment Mr. Dickinson, he saw the silver cup, he just could not contain himself. He was utterly shocked, and he said to Yogananda that he had been waiting for the silver cup for 43 long years. And friends, Mr. Dickinson said that the story he had kept hidden within himself all of these years, he finally shared it that day. And friends, Mr. Dickinson, he narrated a story, and he said that when he was 5 years old and he was playing with his older brother, so his older brother, he playfully just pushed Mr. Dickinson into a deep pool, and Mr. Dickinson, he did not know swimming. And as he was just about to drown and sink under the water, a dazzling multicolored light appeared. And in the midst of this light, a figure of man appeared, whose eyes were calm, and he had a reassuring smile, as if he was telling Mr. Dickinson that don't worry, you will be saved, nothing will happen to you. So friends, Mr. Dickinson, he was miraculously saved from drowning by the figure of this man. And 12 years later, when Mr. Dickinson was a youth of 17 years, he visited Chicago with his mother, and as they were walking down the main street, he saw again a mighty flash of light, and he saw the same man who had appeared as a vision and saved him from drowning. And Mr. Dickinson, he learned that this great man was Swami Vivekananda from India. And Swami Vivekananda, he was in the United States representing India at the Parliament of the world's religions. And we all know, friends, that Swami Vivekananda, he was the chief disciple of Ramakrishna Paramhansa and was a great saint. And just after Swami Vivekananda, he gave his lecture, Mr. Dickinson, he came forward to meet him. And friends, Mr. Dickinson, he was so happy to finally meet in person the man who had saved his life. And Mr. Dickinson, he at that very moment thought and wished if Swami Vivekananda could be his guru, his teacher. And Swami Vivekananda, he read his thoughts and said to him that, my son, I cannot be your guru. Your guru will come later, and he will give you a silver cup, and he will pour out to you more blessings than you're able to hold now. And friends, with this joyous meeting, Mr. Dickinson, he left Chicago in a few days, and he never saw the great Vivekananda again. But every word said by Swami Vivekananda, it got etched in his heart. And year after year went by, and no teacher appeared in the life of Mr. Dickinson. As if Mr. Dickinson's wait for a teacher, it was seeming never ending. And then one day he prayed very deeply to the Lord that, Lord, please send his guru to him. And his prayer was earnest, it came from his heart. And the very next evening, he got an opportunity to attend one of Yogananda's lectures in Los Angeles. And he knew in his heart that Yogananda was the guru he had been waiting for all these years, and he thanked Lord for answering his prayers. And friends, Mr. Dickinson, he became a disciple of Yogananda, and 11 years had already passed living in the company of his guru, that is in the company of Yogananda, and sometimes Mr. Dickinson, he used to wonder and think about the words of Swami Vivekananda when he said that his guru will offer a silver cup to him. And 11 years had already passed and nothing had happened. And on the Christmas night, when Yogananda, he offered the silver cup to him, Mr. Dickinson, he witnessed the same dazzling light. Yes, friends, it was the moment of moments for Mr. Dickinson. And friends, just to add that when Mr. Dickinson, he met Swami Vivekananda in person, the year was 1893, and it was the same year when Paramhansa Yogananda was born. And when Swami Vivekananda said to him that your guru will come and he will offer you a silver cup, so Swami Vivekananda, who we all know he was such a great saint, he was apparently aware that Yogananda was an incarnation. That is, he has taken birth and someday he will go to the West and he will offer a silver cup to Mr. Dickinson. This is so incredible. How do the great saints, the great yogis, were able to predict so precisely what will happen in the future? Friends, the answer to this is that everything that has happened in the past, everything that is happening in the present, and that will happen in the future, it gets recorded in ether, also known as Akasha in Sanskrit. And the one who can tap into this information from ether can thus easily know the past, present, and future. And friends, we know that the great saints are always in tune with the divine consciousness that guides them every moment, and so they're able to function transcending the limits of time and space, and they're able to perform miracles effortlessly. For these miracles, they are performed not by them but through them. And coming back to Mr. Dickinson, friends, he devoted his life being a Kriya Yogi, and he received the title of a Yogacharya, that is the title of a teacher at the Self-Realization Headquarters in Los Angeles. And friends, the story and the life of Mr. Dickinson is marvelous. First, he was saved from drowning by a vision of Swami Vivekananda, the appearances of flashing lights, the prophecy of Swami Vivekananda of Mr. Dickinson finding his guru and receiving his silver cup. All of this, it reinforces our faith and our trust in the divine. As it is said, friends, that you cannot connect the dots looking forward, but you can only connect them looking backward. So we must trust and have faith that it will all make sense one day, that this journey called life is all worthwhile, irrespective of the struggles and the hardships. And moving forward with the book, friends, Yogananda, while he was in India, which was a period of around a year and a half, his disciples in America, they thought of giving a surprise welcome gift to Yogananda on his arrival back in the West, and so they built a beautiful large hermitage in California overlooking the Pacific Ocean. And we know that years back, Yogananda, in his meditation, he had already seen that he will have a hermitage by the coast, and it became a reality that day. And this large estate, it was a gift from Mr. James Lynn, who was an American businessman. He was the head of vast oil companies, and he was also the president of the world's largest fire insurance company. And friends, Mr. Lynn, apart from being a successful businessman, he was also a faithful Kriya Yogi. He led a balanced life, devoting his time for meditation and also for his professional responsibilities. And friends, it was in this hermitage that Yogananda, he wrote numerous cosmic chants, the ones we listen to after every video. And Yogananda, he also wrote many books and translated many works of Shankaracharya, Rabindranath Tagore in English. And friends, in this way, Yogananda, he lived every moment of his life fulfilling his duties, and these duties were not limited to his immediate family, for the whole world was his family. So Yogananda, he also wrote a number of beautiful books, and each one, it teaches wonderfully how to live life and how to be in a state of bliss in every moment. And friends, Yogananda had often voiced this prediction, and I quote his words, "I will not die in bed, but with my boots on," speaking of God and India. And friends, on March 7, 1952, this prophecy was fulfilled. At a banquet in honor of the Ambassador of India, P.R. Singh, Yogananda was a guest speaker. And he delivered a soul-stirring address concluding with these words from a poem he had written, "My India, where Ganges woods, Himalayan caves and men dream God, I am hallowed, my body touched that sod." And friends, he then lifted his eyes upward and entered Mahasamadhi, which is an advanced yogi's conscious exit from the physical body. And Yogananda, he left his body a similar manner as he had lived, encouraging everyone to know God. Friends, in different ages or in different times, God sends great souls with the special mission to tell about the glory of God, and their lives reflect the various attributes of God. Yogananda, he manifested the love aspect of God, and that was the reason why he was known as Prem Avatar or incarnation of love. Swami Sri Yukteswar, he represented the wisdom aspect of God, and thus he was known as Gyanamata or incarnation of wisdom, and Lahiri Mahasya, owing to his Christ life, he was known as Yoga Avatar, as he was the chosen one by the divine to spread the principles of yoga and meditation. Though God himself is invisible, for all the time he works through all of the chosen masters to teach us about him. And friends, Yogananda's only desire from his childhood had been to find God, and his desire was earnest, it was sincere, it came from his heart. He was determined to find God, come what may. It didn't matter to him if hours and hours passed by in meditation, or if his incessant cries it reached to a point that could burst open his brain. But still he would persist, he would go on, and thus God, he had no choice but to reveal itself to Yogananda. And friends, Yogananda's message was clear and simple, that on one hand it is the hardest thing to find God, and yet it is also the easiest if you are sincere and determined. Before this life is snatched away, friends, make the infinite visible to you now. Don't put off your search for God until your old age or when you retire, or hope to somehow reach to Him when you die. A thief is a thief before sleep, and after sleep he is still a thief. Similarly, we don't become angels or we don't merge with the divine consciousness when we die. We are the same after death as we are before. And now is the time to find Him. And friends, when He comes, we will know such joy, such love, such bliss, such wisdom, and such understanding like we have never known before. You have no idea how beautiful life can be when you suddenly find God everywhere. When He comes and talks to you and guides you, then the romance of divine love has begun. And this was all about Autobiography of a Yogi, and I made these videos as I was guided to do so. Please read the book, as I was not able to cover all the aspects that are mentioned in the books, and also please read the other books written by Paramhansa Yogananda. And friends, there is also an award-winning documentary film about the life of Yogananda and his work by the name Awake, the Life of Yogananda, and it was filmed over 3 years with the participation of 30 countries. My gratitude to you all for being with me on this journey. I thank from my heart and soul to the Divine Mother, to our Master Paramhansa Yogananda, to Swami Sri Yukteswar, to Lahiri Mahasya, and the immortal and the eternal Guru Mahavatar Babaji for their divine guidance and their divine love to all of us. Om Guru.